Greetings. Let us talk about esophageal strictures and the types of strictures and the various dilators we use. And these are my acknowledgements. And today we will learn about the types of esophageal strictures and their management, and also learn about the differences between various dilators that are used to open up the strictures. So here is an esophagus. As you can see, there is some inflammation at the lower end of the esophagus, and that is otherwise known as esophagitis. And if the esophagitis is severe, it can go into the wall of the esophagus and cause scarring and narrowing of the esophagus. That is known as a stricture. When there is a stricture, the food will have difficulty going down the esophagus, and the patient may complain of difficulty swallowing, otherwise known as dysphagia. So you can help this patient by stretching that esophagus, otherwise known as dilation, and you could use a bougie to dilate, otherwise known as bougie dilation, or you could use, for the same stricture, another type of bougie that is passed over a guide wire, so that the bougie goes through the stricture and doesn't coil up above when it feels resistance if there was no guide wire that guides it down the stricture. So we have learned about stricture dilation using a bougie, either with or without a guide wire. You could also manage the stricture with a balloon dilation and stretch the stricture by keeping the balloon, a deflated balloon inside the stricture, and opening it up. So let us talk about the dilators, the bougie dilators and the balloon dilators, and how do we set it up, what are the differences. So let us talk about bougie dilators. There are two types of bougie dilators: those without the guide wire, and these are used for strictures with a bigger opening, not tight, severe strictures. Or you could use a bougie dilator that goes over a guide wire. So there are two types of dilators: bougie dilator without a guide wire and bougie dilator that goes over a guide wire. So let us look at balloon dilators. What you need is a balloon dilator catheter, and to inflate the balloon you need a syringe with a measuring device, fluid to pump that balloon up with the help of a gun that puts the pressure in the syringe to inflate the balloon. So this is a normal esophagus. You can see through and through. We are close to the GE junction, wide open esophagus, otherwise known as normal. And compared to this, you can see esophagus with a ring there, and that ring at the close to the GE junction can catch on food and create difficulty swallowing meat or apple or bread. And this is Schatzki's ring. And this is a simple stricture because it is short, and you can see through and through. And a short, straight stricture is known as simple stricture, and this can be dilated with a bougie dilator with or without the guide wire. you could use a non-wire guided bougie dilation for a simple stricture like a Schatzki's ring. Here you see a mucosal web. Again, you can see the whole esophagus down below. The mucosal web is short, and this is a short stricture, is otherwise known as a simple stricture, and you could dilate with a bougie dilator. Again, you could do this with a non-wire guided bougie dilation. So we've learned about simple strictures. Simple strictures are short strictures, and opening is not too tight, and you can actually see through. Here is a peptic stricture, and this is a complex stricture. Complex compared to simple because it's very tight. It is a longer stricture, and if the stricture is not straight and is a little bit crooked, it is also known as a complex stricture. When you have a complex stricture, you have to make sure that your dilator goes through the stricture and not curl up above the stricture and cause damage. In order to do that, you have to use either a bougie or a balloon dilator with the help of a wire that goes through the stricture and directs the dilation of the stricture. So we talked about simple stricture. A short stricture is a simple stricture, a relatively wider bore. Complex stricture is a longer stricture, tighter stricture, and angulated stricture. Dilation with either a bougie, with or without a guide wire, and a balloon dilator. These are the things that can be used for esophageal stricture dilation. So now in the next session, we will talk about how to use a bougie dilator. Thank you.